Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into something pretty crucial today, an issue that I think really matters, especially if you're prepping for the UPSC exams.
Absolutely. This one's got implications for both mains and prelims, so let's get right into it.
Right, we're going deep on the quality, or maybe the lack of quality, in how India's been building out its massive highway network.
Yeah, and we're basing this deep dive primarily on some recent reporting from The Hindu, really trying to break it down for you all.
The goal here, as always, is to cut through all the noise and give you the most important takeaways on this. What are the defects we're seeing? What's the impact? And what's being done, or maybe what needs to be done to get things on track?
You're hitting the key points there.
And to give you a sense of just how widespread this issue is, get this. From 2019 to 2024, there were 59 major instances of construction damage on these highways, spanning across 15 states.
Wow, that's a pretty startling figure right there.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, right, about the quality control, about the oversight. These aren't just numbers, though. These are real roads, real people using them.
And unfortunately, we've seen the tragic consequences of these failings. The Hindu highlighted that awful incident on the Delhi-Meerut Expressway. A woman lost her life when her vehicle hit a divider, and it was a newly married couple.
Oh, it's just heartbreaking. Such a devastating loss. And it seems directly tied to this issue of construction defects. A new highway meant to be safer, faster, and instead, this happens.
It's a stark reminder that we're not just talking about cracks in the pavement. These defects have real human costs. And it's not just that one case either. Remember that accident earlier this year in Karnataka on NH63?
Oh yeah, the truck that went off the road fell into a valley. 10 people died.
Horrible. And again, it seems like faulty road conditions were a major factor. So this is something we really need to pay attention to.
You're absolutely right. Now, to get a better understanding of what we're dealing with here, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, MORTH, has actually categorized these construction defects into 4 main types.
Okay, that's helpful. Let's break those down. What are we looking at?
So the first one is, pretty straightforward. It's pavement issues.
Yeah.
This is your cracks, the potholes, the rutting, those grooves that form where vehicles keep driving over the same spot.
Oh, yeah, you can feel those on some stretches of highway, especially when they're loaded with those big trucks.
Exactly. And then there's settlement, where sections of the road actually sink lower than they should.
And what was the other one? Those bumps that make it feel like you're riding a wave.
Yeah, those are undulations. They make for an uncomfortable ride for sure, but it's more than just discomfort, right? These issues can impact vehicle handling, lead to longer travel times, and it can even be dangerous in some cases.
So pavement issues, that's number one. What about the second category?
The second one's retaining wall failures. Now, these are super important, especially in hilly areas.
Right, they're those big walls that hold back the earth and stop it from, collapsing onto the road.
Exactly. And when they fail, it can be disastrous. Landslides, road closures, even fatalities. The Hindu actually mentioned a case in Arunachal Pradesh on NH713A where a retaining wall collapsed.
What happened there?
Well, they ended up hitting the contractor with a 5% penalty on the contract value.
So some accountability there at least.
Yeah, but a 5% penalty, when you think about the potential loss of life, property damage, it really makes you question if that's enough.
It does seem like a bit of a slap on the wrist when you put it that way. All right, on to category number 3.
This one is bridge and structural damages. We're talking about things like slabs failing on bridges, and this one's really concerning. Collapses of the nose structure during bridge launching. That's a temporary extension they use to guide the bridge segment into place.
Oh, wow. And if that fails?
It could mean a major accident, right?
Mm.
Huge delays, and obviously the safety risks are enormous. They pointed to a case on the Amritsar-Jandnagar corridor in Rajasthan where this actually happened.
What was the fallout from that?
1 crore rupee penalty and a 2-year debarment for the contractor.
Okay, that's starting to sound more serious. So 3 down, 1 to go.
Right, and the last one is kind of a catch-all category. Other construction and maintenance shortcomings. This covers things like drainage systems that aren't finished or aren't working properly.
Which is a problem because we get some serious monsoons here, and you don't want all that water pooling up on the roads.
Yeah, it leads to waterlogging, faster road damage, hydroplaning, dangerous stuff.
Right.
And then you've got poor slope protection, which can cause landslides and erosion.
And just generally shoddy maintenance, I'm guessing.
That's it. So it's not just about the big dramatic failures. It's about all these smaller issues that can add up and create hazards over time.
So we've got these 4 categories of defects. What's interesting is that it seems like there's a pretty good level of awareness about this issue. Even the union minister, Nitin Gadkari, has been quite vocal about it.
Absolutely. He's even criticized civil engineers and consultants for their role in this, saying they're producing flawed, detailed project reports, the DPRs, which are basically the blueprints for these projects.
He's essentially saying that bad planning is a major contributor to these problems, and even road fatalities.
Yeah, and he's backed that up with some pretty strong statements. The Hindu reported on his address to the Rajya Sabha, where he confirmed that audits by organizations like NHAI, NHIDCL, BRO, and even independent third parties have all found a significant number of these construction defects.
It sounds like he's saying everyone's finding the same problem.
Right, which suggests that it's not just isolated incidents, it's something systemic. Now, they are imposing penalties and supposedly taking corrective action, but the fact that these issues keep cropping up makes you wonder if they're really addressing the root causes.
Yeah, it's like putting a bandage on a broken leg. You might stop the bleeding, but the bone's still broken.
Well said. Now, the Hindu also provided some real-world examples, case studies that really illustrate these issues. For instance, there's the Delhi-Vadodara Expressway. It's a major project, and they've been having issues with rutting and structural deformation across multiple sections.
So even the big flagship projects are having these problems.
It seems so, and they've had to bring in experts from IIT Kanpur to try to find solutions. That shows you the scale of the issue and the resources needed to fix it.
Yeah, it's not just a quick patch-up job. And then there's Andhra Pradesh, right?
Yeah, they've had settlement problems on NH71 and NH16. In those cases, they managed to recover 10.99 lakh.
So they're clawing back some of the money. But that doesn't really account for all the disruption and the potential safety hazards.
Exactly. And then there's Chhattisgarh and West Bengal, where they've been dealing with widespread cracking in concrete slabs.
That sounds familiar.
It's a common problem.
Hmm.
In these instances, they've fined the contractors and extended the defect liability period, the DLP. It's basically the period where the contractor is still responsible for fixing any defects. So extending it means the initial construction wasn't up to snuff.
Okay. And of course, there's that dramatic case we talked about earlier, the nose structure collapse during the bridge launch in Rajasthan.
Right, that one resulted in a euro crore penalty and a 2-year debarment for the contractor. It's a pretty stark illustration of what can happen when quality control fails.
So we've got a pretty clear picture now of the types of effects, the scale of the problem, and the consequences. But how does all this impact India's overall infrastructure goals? We are in the midst of a massive expansion of the national highway network.
You're right. The Hindu pointed out that the network has grown from around 91,000 kilometers in 2014 to over 146,000 kilometers this year.
That's a huge increase. But what good is a bigger network if the roads themselves are falling apart?
That's the key question, right? It undermines the whole point. These defects end up costing more in the long run because you're constantly having to repair and maintain them. And that's money that could be spent on building new roads, improving other infrastructure.
Plus, if these highways aren't reliable, it impacts trade, travel, the economy as a whole. It defeats the purpose of building them in the first place.
Exactly. It's not just about quantity, it's about quality. The Hindu also delves into some of the systemic issues that are contributing to these problems. One major factor is the quality of those detailed project reports, the DPRs.
Those blueprints we talked about.
Yeah, those. If those are based on bad data, outdated surveys, or just plain bad engineering, then the project is doomed from the start.
So it's like building a house on a foundation of sand. It's not going to last.
That's a good analogy. Then there's the issue of accountability. They are imposing penalties, but it doesn't seem to be enough. The fact that we're still seeing these problems suggests the deterrents aren't strong enough.
Yeah, a fine might be a cost of doing business for some of these contractors, but it's not actually solving the problem.
You hit the nail on the head. And then there's the issue of workforce capacity. The Hindu pointed out that many of the engineers and site supervisors might not have the training or expertise needed to build these complex highways to the required standards.
So we need to invest in training and skills development as well.
Absolutely. So what's the solution? Well, the Hindu offered a few recommendations. One key idea is to revamp how those DPRs are evaluated. They suggested mandatory independent audits before any project starts.
So a second pair of eyes to catch any potential problems early on.
Exactly, a proactive approach. They also stressed the need for stronger post-construction monitoring. This could involve using things like AI-powered tools to spot potential issues, as well as having regular independent evaluations.
So keeping a close eye on things even after the ribbon-cutting ceremony?
Yeah, ongoing vigilance is key. And of course, there needs to be stronger accountability. They talked about blacklisting contractors with a track record of shoddy work, sending a clear message that quality matters.
Hit them where it hurts, their reputation, and their ability to get future contracts.
Right. And lastly, investing in those training programs for engineers and construction workers, making sure they're up to date on the latest techniques and standards.
So it's a multi-pronged approach. Better planning, better monitoring, tougher penalties, and a more skilled workforce.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that this isn't just a technical issue. It's about governance, policy, and how effectively those are being implemented.
It's a big picture issue and one that anyone prepping for the UPSC should be paying close attention to. All right, so to sum up, we've got a rapidly expanding highway network in India, which is great, but we're also seeing some serious problems with construction quality.
And those problems are leading to real costs, both in terms of human life and in terms of wasted resources. It's undermining the whole goal of building a better infrastructure.
And while there are some steps being taken to address the issue, it's clear that more needs to be done. We need to focus not just on speed, but on quality, safety, and accountability. And that's something for all of us to think about, especially those of you who are going to be shaping the future of this country.
Well said. It's a complex issue, but one that we can't afford to ignore.
So that's our deep dive on the issue of construction defects on India's national highways, based on the reporting from the Hindu. We hope you found this insightful and informative. As always, if you did, please like and subscribe to our channel for more discussions like this.
And don't hesitate to leave a comment if you have any questions or thoughts on this topic. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.